Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Yeah, thanks Sakis. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so we're gonna look inside. I am Leo. I'm a senior level artist at Ubisoft Toronto, and with me there is Gianluca. Yeah, I played it and I loved it. Can hear Jan? Talk a bit? Ah yeah, we can hear Jan. How so? I don't know what happened to Jan. He's been sharing very useful information and secret information, and now you guys all lost it. Can you say something, John? Just a second. I might know what could be the reason. Say something else. Keep talking.
Karapatiti, sete panapureta tataparani.
Okay, now you should hear him, right? Yeah, I think I saw a moment.
Okay.
Sorry
so hi
about
everyone.
that. He was saying how much he loves you all and everything. But yeah, if you want to reintroduce yourself, since it was mute.
So yeah, I'm Gianluca and I'm a developer. I develop a business application in a Real Engine. And I was asking if Leo ever played Inside. He already played it. And I was saying that I played Limbo from the same developer that I really liked. And this is my first time in Inside. So yeah.
That's cool.
Yep,
And for who's just joined, what we are doing, we are trying to break down the art and environment art of games, and we try to highlight all those little details that makes the game great, so that if you are a gamer or if you're like a game dev, you can learn something from it that can help you better understand games or improve your personal project environment. Thanks. And yeah, anything else? No, I think we said it all. And Inside is made in Unity. And for who of you doesn't know what Unity is an engine like Unreal Engine, which is probably more common. Yeah. And Unity in general, it's a very good tool. It's very light and it's very versatile. It allows you to do a lot of things. But at the same time, when you need to do things, at least it used to be like that. You need a lot of support from programmers. You need to write shader. You need to write a lot of code. Where right now, I think it's more like artist friendly and everything. And the big competition between Unreal and Unity has always been like there in the industry, and I feel like Unreal it's easier to achieve a realistic look or like a third person like fully 3D game, where with Unity it's much easier to achieve it's not much easier, but it's better suitable for achieving a stylized game or mobile game, those games that doesn't require high intensity rendering and lighting. But right now, I have a few friends working on Unity, and they are improving a lot in terms of how things looks in Unity. But yeah, so let's dive into it. You ready to play?
Yep, let's do it.
For beginners, that's a good question. I think I started with Unity.
Me too.
At the time, there was UDK and Unity, and I started with Unity, and I was like playing with UDK. But I think they are both easy because there are so much resources online that you can find out about how to do things. So it doesn't really matter, in my opinion. If you wanna focus on doing something more stylized, more like cartoony or something like that, I would try maybe Unity. And if you wanna do something more like first person, third person camera kind of game, maybe Uria is more in line with that. It's easy. You got like a lot of presets that are really in the engine that you can just focus on something, and then you put this prefab with the camera and everything, and you got like the first person experience or the third person experience or the 2D platform. So it's very
in general, like you said, Unity is full of documentation, and there are a ton of people who use it and write online that they can help you with everything you need. Unreal was actually a little more difficult to approach, but I think the current state with visual scripting, node editor, it's more easier to approach. And also, if you are an artist, you can actually develop a game without probably the help. A game, I don't know, but maybe you can start prototyping right away without the help of a developer. So yeah,
cool. That was a good question. And as always, if you have other questions, feel free to ask in the comments, and we will do our best to answer them all. All right, let's go back to the video now.
Oh wait, do you actually move with the arrows and not the TUE and THU?
I guess so, yeah. Cool. As you can see inside, it's a we call it 2.5D because it's not like a fully 2D games, but has depth and has three-dimensionality. But the character only moves on a 2D kind of environment, and I think it's very cool. It's very cool. So if we stop the camera here, and we see like this shot, for example. Hi Predator, welcome back. We hope that the stream on YouTube is now smoother this time, because last time we had some problem. But yeah, you can see like in this game, because it's like a 2D kind of 3D game, there is a lot of emphasis on the silhouette of objects, especially also because the art direction of this game, it's all very flat. All the things doesn't have texture. It's all like value and contrast rather than texture and colorful information. So in this case here, you can see how the trees really makes makes us understand that they're a tree, because obviously we know the shape of the tree, and you can see like the shape there. We got some breaks on the silhouette, which is pretty cool to add a bit of a variation, which is awesome. You can see the trees more in the background that are getting affected by the fog that it's in this forest or in this place here. And in general, like because of the 2D nature of this game, and because of the art direction that goes behind it, they curated a lot of the composition thing. So again, like if we draw the classic rule of third thing, you can see how here, because we are getting we are hiding behind this tree, because we got these like cues that says red. Red usually is like danger, So we got this danger kind of thing that is telling us that. And because we got that, we are trying, oh, maybe we need to hide. And also because the character behind these trees here is hiding, we feel like, oh, we wanna kind of hide behind the tree and, you know, see what happens. And because we're hiding in this location here, you can see how the subject, which is like the character, and then the truck moving away, fall exactly where the intersection lines of the rule of thirds are, which is, you know, and for who's not familiar with the rule of third is just an easy way to balance an image and put the subject in those points. So what you do, you divide the frame in thirds. So you got like 3 sections on the vertical and horizontal, and where you intersect the lines, you try to place the subject in that location so that you make the environment more pleasing for the eye. But yeah, as you can see, like rule of third, silhouette. So you will see, actually, I gotta go back to the game now, and I'm gonna keep talking. But you will see how the game really plays with this silhouette. And it's thanks to the silhouette that you can understand in what type of environment you are. Because you don't have texture, you don't have anything. The only thing that you have is contrast and value. And now we are in a forest, and we see all the silhouettes are readable in terms of a forest. And, you know, that's what they did. Again here, if I stop here again, we can see even in this shot how, and I'm gonna bring it back, probably I'm not gonna bring it back all the time, but you can see again, we are taking cover on this structure here. And you can see that we're taking cover because the kid is like getting scared, and the guys here are doing something with this thing that we don't know yet. And it's pretty cool because you got the light that is kind of pointing at things. We got this guy here. But yeah, you can see how in the rule of third there is like an attention to place these elements on around one of those 2 intersection line, which is, you know, ideal. And another thing that I noticed right off the bat at the beginning of the game is the depth of this scene, and that's also thanks to the parallax that these scenes are. If you see, like, we got plenty of layers. So we got like the first kind of middle ground, which is all the elements where around the area where you interact with. And then if we go further, we got the, I guess we can call it the background, or like the ground between the middle and the background, which is this one. And then we have the last one, which is, I mean, we got plenty, which is like that. Got this one there, and then I think there are more there that are barely visible. But yeah, you can see how we got this separation, which is thanks to this like volumetric fog that is in this scene. And what is also important is the parallax that everything creates. And as you can see, we got a strong parallax also thanks to the foreground elements, which in this case like this grass, which goes literally covers the player. And in this area, because we need to understand what's going on in this location, the parallax is very minimal and very like tuned down to a lower grass so that we don't occlude the scene. But when we are playing in those moments where we are just traversing the space, you will see how in the foreground we're gonna have big trees that are literally covering the players and environment, and that's to create a sense of depth and a sense of movement and a sense of parallax. And yeah, let's go back to the video. Hello, Fatih. I hope I pronounce it correctly. I'm not really good at pronouncing names. Glad you made it. So again, you can see here how also the camera movement, they are now static, but they are changing based on the situation that is happening. So in this case, we can see that we are getting towards more industrialized space. You can see there is something that has color in the scene, which is that fridge, which suggests us that maybe we need to use that. And in terms of color, they they were very subtle with the colors, and they kept everything very subtle. But yeah, you can see what I was referring to is you can see in the silhouette of things that we are getting, like the barbed wire, the barriers here, we're getting in this sort of space. If I stop here, where we saw that we are common, like it's a common thing that I keep talking in every game, even if this is 2D, even if this is very stylized, and it plays a lot with silhouette. You can see here the silhouette it's all different. So right now we know that this is sort of a road guard or a barrier. We understand the signs, we understand that this is a fence, even if we don't understand how it looks. And we know that these are trees and these are probably rocks. So we understand the shape language, which is pretty clear. We got this nice directionality of the image that leads us to where the truck is going, and thanks to also the light of the truck, it's really highlighted and it's really cool, and it goes behind, creates movement. But what's also really cool, which they did here, is the addition of puddles. Yeah. So you can see here at the bottom how we got this nice puddle that makes this game look more than just like a flat game that only use like matte materials, but I also use shiny material, like in this case here, and that creates a lot of contrast. As far as I remember, in the game there is not much contrast of colors and material, but there are two material: the matte one and the wet one, and you will see that pretty often. And because there are only those two, it creates a lot of contrast, which is pretty cool. Let's go back to the video. So again, we're going back to the forest, and you can see how we see different shapes. You can see how now it's not like dense forest, but it's more like a rocky forest, and that's because we change a bit of the environment, and you can see the trees' leaves are different, the general shape are different. You can see more rocks and things like that. So it's pretty cool.
Beautiful. Oh, look there.
All right. So this game. It's a good example of what Unity can do, and it's also a good example of how to do the 80% of the job with a 20. And that's like the 80-20 is a thing that is very common. And in this case, they did the 80% they did most of the game just with the meshes. They didn't have to texture them. They didn't have to, at least I guess, maybe they had some material to create some variation. But you can see how the game really works just because of the values and the depth that this image has. So they really did a smart thing to go with this art direction, because it allowed them to, to get a really cool visual with very little effort. And I think this sort of minimalistic approach of the visual, it's also reflected to the audio. In fact, there is no music, and the audio is very subtle. Like if I stop talking and you hear the sound of the game, you will hear that it's not very present as other games do. Again, you see, those three are just like black shapes, right? And you can understand them, you can read them, and because of that, you understand where you are. You see the paddles is the only thing that create contrast, I think, with the other things, and then you die.
Oh, this isn't scripted.
No. What do you guys think about the game? Have you played it? Sloan, have you played this game? Apart from Sakis, has anyone else played this game?
Oh.
So good, indeed.
So many anxious games in the latest streams.
Have you played Faith this game? I didn't play it. I like Limbo. I found this better than Limbo. I thought Limbo was really cool, but then I saw this and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so cool!" I only played 7 times.
Only played 7 times. Okay.
Saki's only played it 7 times. Okay, cool. So as you can see now, we are in a different environment and now more forest. You can see the infrastructures. If I stop the frame here, you can see how right now the shape language of this space is very different. We got this main road here, which we can understand. We can see there is the guardrail here, which we are all familiar with, the shape of it. And then we have these power lines here with the transformers and then the power line cables and things. So we can see how we are in a completely different space. And that's all thanks to the shape of the environment. That's that. And yeah, let's keep going. Let's see where we're going now. Prince of Persia for MS-DOS? It's better than that. Journey. Would love to your thought on Journey. I haven't played Journey, so that could be like a good game to look at. Indeed.
Journey. Was that one with that was for PlayStation 3? Maybe. Like open world in this desert world.
If I stop the game, the thing here, you can see like just in this image, all the shapes are really readable. So we know that this is the crop. We understand the shape and the density of it. So we understand that this is like a fit. Also because we just came from it, we understand that those are I don't know how you call them in English, but those balls that get made from cutting the grass of these fields, and probably for who lived in the countryside, they are much more recognizable. But in general, like you saw them a lot of times in pictures, so even like if you don't live in the countryside, probably you know what the shapes are. And also like you can see the architecture here. It is very like one floor and it's very kind of flat, which remind us the type of architecture that you usually see in a farm kind of environment. And we see another house here, which is a bit taller, which can be like the farmer house or something. I don't know how it's made. So you can see how everything is sort of connected, and all the environment storytelling is explained with the shapes of things rather than textures and branding and material and things like that. It's all like based on shapes. And obviously because no, not just because it's a 3D game, but in general because it's a game, we got light signposting things. So here and there we get some light that either signpost where we're going or adds depth to the scene. So in this case, the light creates this nice brighter area, which highlights the silhouette of this grass that creates depth and everything. And as always, as I keep saying all the time, puddles really adds a lot of contrast with the material. So in this case here, the puddles is reflecting the foggy sky or whatever it is, and because of that it gets like this brighter value, which like the lights was doing here, the brighter value it's also highlighting this grass here, which adds a lot of more details and more depth to it, which is pretty cool. And yeah, in general, so we will see the light as a warning, as a signposting where to go, or as a way to add more interesting details and depth to the scene. Let's go back to the video.
I thought they were that Fate was talking about the game journey, but actually it was the journey in this game.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna have all that time to finish it, because usually our live stream are only 2 hours. So we'll see where we get.
Oh,
I found that the game doesn't really tell you the meaning of the game until the real end, kind of thing. So you're like playing this game, but you don't know why you're doing it. Like, what is the purpose of the character, where you're going, and then the closer you get to the end, the more you understand, I guess, the plot of this game, which is very twisting. So if I stop here, you can see how we were saying earlier that lights will be used to signpost things, or to add details. So in this case, you can see how the lights is signposting that there is a door here, and in fact Borto went there and there was a plug that was blocking the door, which was the reason why you couldn't enter from outside, and now it's open. So, and that gives a hint of the puzzle that you're doing, because this game, it's all about like a small puzzle, small environmental puzzles that you need to solve. And you can see now that we are in an interior space, we got much more man-made elements. So you can see we got some like barrels here, and you can see the shape, the cylindrical shape is very readable. We got some planks here which are creating details and making interesting thing. And obviously we also have cables down there, which are very subtle. I think they don't want you to see the cables unless in an area where you need to actually use the cable, like the one that was outside, that was against the bright sky. And yeah, I think you can see once again how the silhouettes are really telling you everything. Like, this is 3D because that's the direction that they went with our direction, but this game would have worked in 2D the same way, as all the shapes and all the environment are understood with the shape and the silhouettes of them. And you can see how, because we need to interact to this area here, all the elements, all the foreground elements that are overlapping with the players are leaving this space empty, so that you can really look at what's going on instead of covering things here that might make it hidden. You see how it's very visible where you're going when you get to the place where you have to interact, which is pretty cool. Let's go back to the video. Let's see if Bortos can solve this. Lydia is a queen of Gran Ducato, indeed. You can see again the camera is not always like from the same side, from the same angle, but change based on what you have to do and what things you interact with. So one thing that I want to stop here, which is pretty cool in my opinion. If I stop here, you can see obviously we got the light signposting here, which is pretty cool, and we have very little accent of color, which is there where you have to interact. So we know that we have to interact there, and on top of that, we also have some cables that are, because they are bright and because they are getting hit by the lights, they are very visible. And you can see also we have a light here, which make this more visible than it is, and it's also made of a color, so it's pretty cool. One thing that they did that is very smart is because outside is so bright and so foggy, and you can see from these windows, and even if you don't see the glass, you can understand that this is glass, right? Because it's a kind of a darker value from where it's no glass, which is that area, which is cool. But what they did really nicely is they had the same windows here, but they decide to fence it off. same for here. So they didn't decide to close it completely. So they kept some details from the windows, but instead of making it very obvious, like this thing here is because of the contrast that creates from the dark interior to the bright outside. It gets very visible. So instead of having the same sort of strong lights here, they decide to blank it so that the eyes will gravitate more towards this thing. And you can see how in the next part of the environment, the ceiling is broken for reason that they decide that it was better for a lighting point of view. And you can see how, because the ceiling is open, it lets more lights coming through, which makes this fog much more visible. You can see the fog there, which highlights this thing here, right? And this is, to me, a way to tell the player, oh, you should pay attention to this because I'm making it so visible, so like readable, so that you might need it. And the fact that this big machine that has a very interesting shape and everything, you can see there's like this thing here, and then there's this pipe here that is going that way. Obviously I play, so I know that that's actually the way, but you can see how this pipe is actually pointing you towards that direction, which is, suggests that maybe you need to get something inside here so that you can go through there, and then it can hit that thing hanging there.
No spoiler.
So everything is very readable, and I really like the fact that they take those sort of decision, like fencing off the windows so that the contrast is where the light is and not where the windows is. Because if the windows was open, if I tried to paint the windows quickly on top of it, you can see how bright that would be and how distracting that would be and how misleading that windows would be. So instead they blank it off, and they add the light here to signpost where to interact and what to do. Let's go back to the video. Oh. Almost. Yeah, when you play open world game further, it's very easy to get lost in exploring the world, which is not a bad thing. As an artist, we make the world interesting, so that you enjoy exploring, and that's part of the nature of the open world game, that you can explore the world. So if I stop here, and then we will see it survived. Okay, cool. if I stop here, you can see from this frame how because the camera tilted a bit, and you get it's framing this view a bit more from the top rather than the bottom of it. You can see how right now, if we draw the classic rule of third, you can see that when we get close to this point here, we are framing where to go with the rule of third, which is like this thing here. And you can see that also thanks to the light that is signposting here, we get this the light signposting there. We got this highlight on the pile of pigs there, which suggests us that might want to jump there. And again, because everything is 2D, they really focused a lot on the composition of every single shot whenever they had the chance. In other episodes, I always talked about how with a game, in a 3D first-person game, how you have some chances to know where the player is going to be with the camera, like doors, like where you interact with things, where the cinematic ends, and things like that. and you should focus on those like details here. In a 2D game, instead, you know all the time where the camera is gonna be, so you need to decide when you want to frame that view in a better way. So they want to frame the view in a way to make it more readable and more understandable where the player have to go, or to make it more pleasing for the eyes from an artistic point of view. Either way works, but the things that they need to make sure is that not everywhere is nicely framed, because otherwise you don't have that contrast. You don't see the beauty when there's a very curated composition, if everything is very well composed. So in this case, like in this specific case here, they compose it in a way that it makes sense from a player leading point of view, because the subject are all in line with where you have to go, which is smart. Go back to the video. So I want to stop here 1 second, and I want to point out something which is really cool. And even if this is a very stylized game and it's very, simplified and minimalistic in terms of how it looks, you can see how the infrastructures, like if we see there is a light that is on here and there is a light that is on here, all the infrastructure behind the light, which is mainly like the cables that powers the light, are all visible. So you can see how all the fundamentals of, I guess in this case, having a light that makes that is on is there. So even if the game is very simple in the way that it's made, you can see how all the elements that justify why the light is on, they're all there. So there is a, it's pretty good. And in general, like in game, a lot of times, like in student work or personal project, the environment that they make lacks of that layer of infrastructure that tied everything together and makes sense. So in this case, you know that the light is on because there are cables that are connected to some sort of, power line somewhere, but it makes sense, right? If the light was there with a connector there, but without no cable, it would like, oh, where the cable coming from? Is there a cable coming down here? Like, if there is, it's cool, but if there isn't, then it wouldn't make sense why the light is on, because where is the power coming from? So in general, like adding those details to tie the things together is really useful from to make a space or environment believable. Cool. Let's go back to the video. Guess you like the mod, eh?
So it is looking there. Okay.
It's just scared. Dun, 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 dun.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Simple for your mind. You're like, oh my god, there must be something harder than that.
Oh!
So if I stop here, again, you can see how, you know, the objective of this like outdoor space was to get a pig to break the door here, and you can see how the rail, even if we never saw a train, never saw anything, it kind of goes through there, and it's kind of leading you, making your brain understand that maybe that's what you have to do by leading the player, leading the eyes there, and yeah, like, so probably from now on we will see more like a train things to make sense more of this, maybe not, I don't know, but definitely the elements of the environment are really there to help you guide the eye to, in this case, this location here. And again, if you look at the foreground elements that we spoke about earlier, that adds a lot of parallax to the scene and everything, like these elements here, the cables, probably there are things here that I cannot see or whatever, but all the elements are not occluding where and what you have to do, which is in this location here, location there, which is pretty cool. And also light, as we keep saying, let's use the green. Light is really signposting, and you know, because there is this rooftop here, it's creating this harsh line, which create a lot of contrast, which brings the eye to look at that, right? Which is actually where we have to go with, so which is pretty smart. You can see everywhere else the light is very soft. It's not like it's not very harsh, but because of the canopy of this thing here, we get a sharp line here, which makes this very contrasted against the area that is in shadow. But yeah, in general, the light is like highlighting this, which is pretty cool. And lastly, again, you can see how, because we need to interact with this, and because we want to better lead the player, you can see how if I draw the rule third, the place where the pig has to eat is falling exactly on one of the third, coming from this thing. You can see how all the action is happening here. So everything is very well balanced and very nicely done. And lastly, we got some fog details, like details that fog brings out, which is the silhouette of that, which is cool. And they are there, and then they don't really compete with what's going on. They just add information, which is pretty nice. And they also add probably a bit of leading. It's like line leading down and this thing leading down like that. There's a shadow there. I don't know where the shadow is coming from, but it's leading down like that. So there are a lot of things like leading to that point as well. Obviously, because it's a 2D game, you either go left or right, so you don't need really to lead the player with those lines, but it's a really good way to make an image more dynamic by creating these leading lines to make the image more pleasing for the eye, regardless of helping the player move in the space. And yeah, let's go back to the video. What other open world game did you play, Fate? By the way, am I pronouncing it correctly, Fate? Is that a good one?
That was disgusting. What? This reminds me of Abe. Outward. Have you ever played, guys? Outward. For PlayStation 1.
Yeah, I played actually.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
Good job, good job. Hey, Marco.
Hey, Marcos.
Hello, hello.
So polished.
All right, so good. See those puddles? Now it's not raining anymore, and got puddles everywhere. Amazing. Now looks like a look at this puddle. Like, let's stop it here for a second. Like, look at this. This is not just a puddle, but it's more than that, because is a way to highlight the silhouette of things, but it's also connected to the fact that we got a culvert here, which is like a pipe where the water can flow under a ridge. So I think in this case there is something here, and then probably there is the same sort of culvert on the other side, which is let the water flow between things, like under the roads or other things. And yeah, and also, like, you see how it makes sense that the water is there, especially after the rain, because you can see on the terrain that everything is leading like on a slope, so you can see how the water will actually flow down there and filling this sort of space here. And also the fact that we are going down, like with the players, we're going down and then going up. I think that's also a nice way to frame these guys in the background, because you can see now that we are in a lower position with the camera. Someone is typing hard. You can see now in this composition here, all the guys falls in one of the rule of third. So they're like all here, and because there is the light behind the track, we get the contrast of the track, and we understand, and we see the rim light of all the things going on, which is pretty cool. But yeah, puddles, you see how, as bright it is, because it reflects the sky, and everything makes everything looks much cooler. Let's go back to the game. You are the worst, Marco. I did a double crime yesterday. In my lunch, I cut spaghetti before it, and at night I put ketchup on pizza. So
I can't even. I can't.
Padleo? Padleo? Looks really well. Look at that rope there that was lit thanks to the light of the ceiling from the windows, actually. Yeah, that's a strong light.
Ah! No.
So obviously here I don't have to say anything, but you can see how visible that thing was, right? It was like black on white. And that's all thanks to the contrast, thanks to the depth, thanks to the fog, thanks to a lot of things. If I stop here a second, one thing that is really cool as well is how all the face of the mesh facing the camera are very, very, very dark. So like you can see here, this blank here is very dark. This thing is very dark. This thing is very dark. Yes. So a lot. This is very dark. A lot of times you can see how they simplify. So they simplify the 2D aspect of the game. So now you can see that there is like a line that goes to here. There is a wall, obviously. So you can see how the 2D-dimensionality of the game, and you can see like it's very clear that this is a shape that you can move, and this is like a block that you can get to it, and this is, I don't know, this is something, I don't remember if you climb from there or not, I don't know, but either way, even if you close your eyes a bit and you try to blur the view of what you see, you can see that we got this very clear shape. Let me zoom out. We have this very clear shape, which is sorry, keyboard problem. Got this very clear shape that we know that we can move, and then we are like, oh, where do we move this one? Here, are we moving it here so that we can create a jump position, so that from this, I don't know, from something we can jump to something and then jump to something else. So you can see how the 2D-dimensionality of the game is very highlighted, so that you can read the space very well. And I think that's a good thing. Going back to the game. We got a question. Someone wants to.
Really? So we should use the appropriate sound for it.
Yeah, before posing the game, yeah. There we go, question time.
Question time by Marcos Brito.
What is the best way to study shape, form, design at all? In internet we can just find tools, video, but nothing about art. Also to learn all of this, it's best to start with short studies like diorama and then go to the environment. I think in this specific case, shapes are something very, very used in concept art. So if you search for painting fundamentals, you will see a lot of tutorials and a lot of courses about value and shapes and silhouette and things like that. There's also like plenty of books. I actually have one here. Look at that. I have this book here, which is pretty good. I don't know if you guys can see it, which is Framed Ink, which is a book about framing. Oh, no, can't really see it. Framing things with silhouettes, and you can see how you see the shape there. Oh my god, it's so bad. Let me over here. Okay, you can see like the shape language of that, and you got like plenty of good example about like shape language and things. So reading books or checking materials about painting fundamentals and design fundamentals, those are all good resources to learn about shape. And those are not for 3D, those are just like 2D art, but those sort of information will help you improve your 3D games too. If that makes sense, Marco. So the book that I was looking at, if you're interested, is called Framed Ink. Which is this one. I'm gonna post the name on the chat. I found it really cool. It's full of good example of frames that works really well, and they also like the author of the book does a really good job on simplifying a complex thing in a very simple, like 3 lines representation of the shape and the frame, everything else. So yeah, painting fundamentals, I think that's the key. I hope that helps and answer your question. Let's go back to the game now. Should I do mentorship, Marco? You tell me. What is that? No.
No, because I wanted to append the second question to the first one in the
Sorry.
question time.
So I don't do mentorship publicly. I have a friend that got in touch with me, and I'm like helping, but I haven't done that publicly. And yeah, maybe I don't know. Do you think I should start doing something? Help people?
I broke my legs.
Yeah.
We got another question time.
You wanna trigger? Nice menu, as always. How's the impact in study architecture for environment? I think your question, like, if I understand your question, is like, does studying environment impact your environment skills? And I think yes, it does, and especially if you're working in a non-organic place. So let's say that you're working in a forest or like a mountain or rock where there are no man-made stuff. I think architecture might not be as useful. But if you're working in an interior, in a city or something like that, like knowing about architecture will really help your like your skills and how you make the game. And yeah, so when you're making like a space that has an architecture, try always to learn about architecture as much as you can. If you go to university about architecture, that's the best case scenario. But if you don't do that because of money or because of reasons, try to find resources online on how to learn about architecture. There is also a really good course on Coursera, which is a platform with free resources from all universities in the world. And there is this university from Spain, which is really good. And I watched that, and it was like a really good course to get a grasp of the architecture thing, because that will definitely help you making better environments, and that will also give you a lot of insights about the thinking process behind the architecture, which will also help you in making better things outside the architecture, which is, I think, really cool. I will put the Coursera course in the description of the YouTube video. So if you guys are watching this after the live, or if you wanna see the link, I'm gonna put the link there, so you can go find it somewhere in the description. I hope that answered your question. And thanks, guys, for the support. Maybe I should do mentorship now. All right. What should I be mentoring? How to make spaghetti? Let's go back to the video. The game, sorry. Oh, there's something else to stop here. So if I stop before he goes to the other room, you can see how we just fell down from this hole because we put the safe, we pushed the safe off the planks, and that caused this to open. And in general, usually especially in the Western country, we go from like the eyes go from left to right. So all the game it's around moving from the left side of the world to the right side, and getting to the end. Probably in the stream you're seeing it flipped because I guess my camera is flipped, but you know what I mean. Like you start from the left side and you get to the right side. And it's very hard to do that because my words are saying left to right, but my movement are doing right to left in order for you to see in the webcam, which is very tricky. And anyway, because of that, like we usually go on the right side when, like, I would have imagined people fall down here and then go on the right side. But because of the visual language, the lighting, the shapes, the leading lines, Porto felt like going left. And you can see that attached to the cave, or like from the cave, or like from the side of this room here, there's this yellow cable, which is the only thing visible in this case, which bent and goes to that direction. We kind of miss it here, so I assume it goes behind it, but then we will see it here again, and then there is this little hole here, which is where Porto is now going through. And that's like the first thing. So to me, this is basically, all right, I go down, oh, there is something there, let me go back, kind of thing. That's what the eye does to me. To me, it's like, right, you're coming down here, you're eating at the bottom, okay, my eye is looking left, I see this thing, I'm like, oh, let me follow this thing. I fill the gap where I don't see the cable, and I see the cable going there. So that's where my eye like will gravitate. And also on top of that, shapes and silhouette really helps that too. So you can see how from the foreground we got this pipe coming in, which is really useful, and the pipe is like going on the left side, which is pushing us on the left side. And also you can see how these two cables, for example, one is shorter than the other, which create this sort of how do you say, try to draw it. There you go. This sort of like vignetting that push your eye on that side of the image. Plus, on top of that, because outside was brighter, we now have this light coming through, which is like highlighting this spot more than the left one. And I'm curious if when you came out, there is a new light here highlighting this area more. I'm curious to see that. But you can see all those like small little elements are really helping you to go on the left side, even if you are used to go on the right side all the times, which is like pretty good. And especially if you're making a 2D game and you want the players to go right and then go left, and to move not always in the same direction. I think this sort of details really helps to achieve that. Let's go back to the game. Actually, we got a question time. Do you wanna push the button?
Yeah.
So Marco is asking you, do you code with the scripting language or with the blueprints in Unreal? So, and if you want to give a bit of insight for who doesn't know.
Yeah, blueprints are basically a node editor in Unreal Engine, and you can actually use them to program and develop features of the game. It's a visual scripting language. So in Unreal, you have two ways of doing things. You can do it in blueprints, but you can also do it in C++. Usually, we tend to prototype things in a blueprint and then do it in C++, but because of our short-term project, we tend to do like 80% of the project in blueprints and 20 in C++. So you develop the main structure in C++, and then you do all your quick, interaction features in blueprints. So yeah, usually in my projects that maybe we have a new project that needs to be delivered in 1 month. So you need to maybe develop a virtual reality scenario in 2 to 3 weeks. And we tend to use Blueprint a lot because they are so fast and they enables us to deliver it more quickly.
Does environment artists need to know about blueprints? Depends by the company you're working on. I think in general, like environment artists have the control of making the environment of the game, right? They are the last step to the environment that makes the game. So if you know about blueprint and you are able to achieve a little interactable thing that the players can interact to, that can push the boundary of how cool your environment is, or to make like things move, to make things spin, to make like those sort of like little details that really integrate the character with the environment. That's like definitely a plus. But that depends all from based on the company that you're working for. And if that question is more related to a personal project thing, I think knowing a bit of blueprint is definitely like a key to make something cool. Or also like, especially if you're making a personal project, at some point you want to present it, so maybe you're creating like a small gameplay or something like that. So I think it's a good way to it's important to know a bit of blueprint too, but it's not necessary. And also one thing that blueprint can help you with is if you have a technical mindset, you can use the blueprint nodes and the blueprint stuff to speed up your workflow. So you can procedurally spawn things. You can do like some things that might require you more time for you to do it manually than do it in blueprint. So once you know how to use the blueprint environment and the node-based graphs, you will definitely be able to speed up those sort of very repetitive actions of doing something. Do you have anything else to add, Borto?
No, that's it.
Cool.
How to be beautiful as Luca.
I have no idea. I try hard every day. I really try hard, but I haven't found the key to that. Let's go back to the game.
Searching.
If you guys notice how, let me know in the comment below. Filters, Instagram filters. You can see how the yellow cable, which is the only thing that has color, by the way, which was another reason why it was popping so much, I guess. It was leading you to that thing, which is, you have to go.
Why did I do that?
I don't know. Why did you do that?
I thought it was part of a puzzle, but actually...
Follow the yellow cable. Maybe you will find the yellow cable somewhere else. It's going up. Let's see. I'm not sure. Oh, no yellow cable. Like how you press things. So while Borto will figure out what to do here, I'm gonna take a screenshot of this, so you can keep playing if you want.
Okay.
So one thing that is good here, it's how everything is framed. You can see obviously you're here, and again, if we draw all magic rule of third, you can see how the space is very nice defined. You can see how this thing is right at the line of the third there, which is cool. And it's something, especially when you take a picture of landscape, try to align the bottom of the terrain, or the horizontal element to one of those lines when you take a picture, and that will like improve a bit the composition. But you can see how in this area here there are these elements. There is a light there that highlights a lot this cable, which suggests you that you have to interact, and then obviously the light is always very clear, but it's also highlighting this area of the game, which is not your area of the game, but because you are controlling those zombies, you are understanding you need to know what they're doing here. Also, there is a light here, which I don't know where it's coming from, but in general, this is also another good way to signpost this thing a bit more. So it's funny because probably it's coming from there, I guess. I think the light is coming from here, looking at the shadow of that thing, because the shadow is like creating from that point. So you can see how we got a lot of directionality in the image. We got lines that goes that way. Let me make it a bit smaller. Lines that goes that way, and then we go lines that goes that way, and etc. etc. And you can see how the only thing that has contrast in this space is apart from this area, but within this area is like this door here, which is like cuts the silhouette of this thing here. And also we got some depth on those platforms in the middle of that, plus the things that connects them all. And also here, the only thing that has contrast is like this thing, which is like what we interact with. And obviously the cable where we put the head on. And lastly, the only thing as that is in this shot, it's obviously a door here that we barely see, but because right now it's not the focus is to do the puzzle, and probably when we are able to open the door, a light will shine through here like we saw in other occasions, so it will be much more visible. But yeah, you see this sort of thing here, which has two, this is probably like the red green kind of ingredients the game has. So right now it's on this yellow thing, and Borto, by moving the zombie on this platform here, can tune this green. So you can see how you can eventually connect that these are connected to that, and that will open this door, I think, which all the lines are leading you.
Hey, no spoiler.
It's pretty cool. So there's a lot of work behind all those like puzzle and shots, because you know, they want players to be able to work, to play the game properly. Let's go back to Borto. Let's see if he managed to figure out.
Yep, I did.
Oh, and look at that! There's a light, like we were saying. So everything worked out.
So I think Marcos donated $1,
Thank you,
and
Marco.
we scammed the text also this time, the message. Maybe we forgot about to check
it's my fault, Marco. I didn't have time since Tuesday to check Streamlabs and those kind of weird websites that I'm not familiar with. But we'll definitely have a look for Tuesday. And actually, we're gonna say that all the time, so that you feel like, oh, I want to test the donation, and you're gonna donate more.
So yeah, on Tuesday, feel free to test the donation. Thanks, Marcos. By the way, did you find a way, Leo, the other time to know what he wrote?
No.
Okay.
I went to the stream. I went to the Streamlabs message. Actually, let me search again. Let's see if I can find something. Because I feel like it should be in the alert. So I'm like, why is it not there? If you see something cool, let me know, Borto. And I go back to.
Yeah. What's cool? Is this cool?
If you see something that looks like you, let me know. All right, okay, this is cool. Let me
Okay.
a second. Can you go back a bit?
Yeah.
So obviously we are, as I mentioned since the beginning, the environment. Okay, stop here. Go now. Play normally. The environment is telling us where we are and what is things around, and I think from the shapes that you see, we know that we are on the rooftop, because we got handrails everywhere, which suggests us that they're there because they don't want people to fall, which is something common for rooftop, right? Yeah, everyone goes on top of rooftop, right? So we all know about that. And then yeah, so another very recognizable thing that we got in this scene is the chimney, this thing where the smoke comes out. and we all know that exists. But also, what's very very clear is this sort of branding elements that we see. I haven't actually saw them like myself in the world that I visited, but I saw often in film and in a lot of like pictures and things like that, which is the classic billboard with the lit lettering things. And I think there is another letter here or something, which is cool. And that's telling us, okay, that's where we know that they place those on the rooftop, so we know now that we are high in the sky with a rooftop. And also those sort of shapes there, those sort of like billboard shapes that we see in the background, like that and like that. They're not necessarily a rooftop thing, but they are very likely to be to be on top of rooftop, on top of like building and things, with ads and things like that. Because I think, especially in cities, the roads are busy and the city planner don't want to make too big billboards and things in the road, because especially in highway they want to make sure that safety is first. So the company that owns buildings, they own the rooftop and they can place billboards on the rooftop that they can sell to the other people, which makes sense why you don't have like massive billboards everywhere in like next to highways and things like that, because I guess safety and things like that. And I think that's why this shape here is recognizable on top of a rooftop for the reason that I just explained. But yeah, so as I said, like you can, like, just with the contrast of shapes and the values and everything, you can understand where we are. We don't need like texture, we don't need anything else, and it's pretty cool. And then they also did a really good job with leading the player with the lighting. You can see there's this sort of lighting coming from there, which is also going there. Obviously, as I always say, like leading players not very hard in just the traversal part of the game. It's more like tough during the puzzle, but during the traversal it's like pretty straightforward, because this is just a 2D scroll game, so either left or right. If you came from the left, you go to the right, so that's easy way. But yeah, for puzzle instead, you kind of had to work a bit better on how to do that. Yeah, it's cool. Let's go back to the game now.
So I found out how you see donation history. I sent the link on Discord there. I'll let you read the message from Marco.
I'm scared. Thanks for sending me a link. Next time, maybe just send me the message.
No, it's a surprise. Oh, wait.
So the link you sent me, it led me to the dashboard.
Really? On the dashboard, you have donation history on the left.
Let me try press again now that I logged in. Wait, which one? 20. So the donation was Luca send nudes. So Luca just opened.
It wasn't Luca, was it?
Yeah. Gianluca, I guess.
Oh, Luca, okay.
So as you might not know, Borto just opened OnlyFans account. So if you Google Gianluca on that website, you should be able to find his news. And I guess that's the real deal, Marco. If you have to do donations, do them there so that you get something in return.
So I found
a beautiful thing. Oh my god.
I found another of that yellow cable with the... Oh shit. Fuck.
Good job. That's why they invented ladders. No, it's not a part-time job, Sloan. It's a full-time.
It's becoming a full-time job. But
Right, so at the third time, I'm gonna take a screenshot because I saw some cool things, so that you can try as many times as you want. That's the beauty of the life, right? The live game. So one thing that is really cool here, if I take a screenshot, why Borto tries to figure out how to climb down, you can see again, composition is always on point. And you can see how what's going on down there. It's, guess what? It's right where one of the roof third is, which is pretty cool. It's like there, and it's perfect. And then you are here, so you got like one here and one there, which is obviously pretty cool. And because of the angle of the camera, because of the architecture, because the fact that we are on a rooftop, you can see how there is like a strong, obviously, directionality that like leads you down, and which is pretty cool and adds a lot of movement to the scene. And another cool thing is that the lighting, for obvious reasons, is like in the same sort of angle as the bottom, and that feel like it kind of connects you walking this space with them walking in that space. And you can see how you got the same shadow thing, and they have the same shadow there, which is pretty cool. And I think, you know, it's a really cool composed pictures. And because this is the edge of the rooftop, they know that the players will stop here and try to climb there. So that's why they focused on this sort of composition, this sort of movement for the eye and everything. The last thing that we have in the background, as you can see, the background is very minimal. You can see how you can barely see the details, and the shapes are all very big and yeah, simple. And that's because something that is also true in painting is that, but also true in like in Levelart and 3D game or 2D game, is the fact that you don't want to have the same level of details everywhere, but you want to create some rest, some variety, some rest area for the eyes to, you know, to rest. And in this case, you can see how all the details are in this middle ground, which is the people, your character. You can see here there's even like a screw on this like platform there, which is pretty cool. There's like a grid here, so the details are here where we need to focus on. Where we don't want the focus to be, we reduce the amount of details. And that's something that painters do a lot in their like artwork, and I think it works also really well in game too. Like if you know that you have an interactable, you add details all around it because, you know, it's likely that the player is gonna be there, but it also creates that sort of channeling the player to where the details are, instead of having details everywhere. And again, that ultimately goes back to the fact of having contrast between things. Tomorrow we're gonna do a live stream with Gian knocking his fingers ASMR mode in front of the mic.
Sorry.
But yeah, so what I will say is that the contrast ultimately is the key to everything, and having contrast in terms of where you place details, it's also very useful. And you can see it, like the pipe here has all the support things, the details there, and everything. So it's pretty cool. And I feel like the grid here that we see here is there obviously to add details, but also to create a contrast point to the edge of the rooftop. And as you can see, without that, you barely understand where the edge ends but because of that, you kind of your brain gets see it more, and you understand more that that's the edge, some sort of things, because it brings more attention here. But yeah, I think pretty cool. So like this kind sort of thing. Moving. Cool. All right. Go back to the game. Let's see if we manage to get to the ground now.
Yup.
Oh, look at that.
So Italian voice reveal when I saw the reveal of Davy. Davy, in case you don't know, Leo, it's a YouTuber that play bass on all this video basically, and play and also he talks always about bass, and he's from Italy.
What is bass?
Bass, the instrument.
Okay. I thought you were talking about a game. Okay.
No, the instrument. So basically, he created so much hype about the reveal of his Italian voice, because all the videos he does are in English. Oh, okay. So we should create some hype about it and reveal our Italian voices, maybe with a new challenge or stuff like that.
Sure. What do you guys want to hear? Like a full live stream, or just like a few minutes?
We should do the end of a live stream, like a few minutes. So what should I do here?
Let's see if you figure it out. Let's see if the chat can help you what you should be doing here. Pass the control to Leo. Yeah, I think that could be. This is sort of an analogy of life. Like you think you can do something, but you're just doing it in the wrong order.
So wise.
If you want more analogies, let us know.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more analogies.
Yeah, we're gonna make shorts video about analogies. Oh, PD.
Shit.
You can see the heartbeat now. So cool. This is another analogy of life, actually. And
is it?
the image speaks itself. Marco is asking for an analysis of the beauty of jam, so that other people can understand how to beautify themselves. The funny thing is that he can't see what I'm doing, because I'm the one streaming to you guys, so I can potentially let him play and open a Photoshop image of him and start to analyze his face while he's playing, and he think like, oh, we are looking at me playing. But he's so concentrated right now. Look at that. Look at the concentration face. We should scratch him. Ah, look, he's moving.
Fuck.
It was funny because I was interacting with your face in the stream, and you moved the head, and I was like, oh, it looks. This is really cool, and I like how they play with the sound. So throughout all the game, the sounds are very quiet, but in this very suspense place, the sounds is on the line. That I was like, oh, do you need to jump or not? So yeah, the sounds is very like connected to what's happening in the screen, which is suspense and the fear of getting caught. What the hell?
Oh shit. Oh.
Should I take a screenshot again?
It's gonna be a long run.
What do you think about the game so far, guys? Especially you, Slohan, that you haven't played it yet. What do you think? Is it cool? The zero observation skills.
Oh, okay, I see.
Getting there, it's getting there. Oh. At this point, I'm gonna increase a bit the volume of the game so that we can all hear the heartbeat.
Ooh.
I feel like a DJ when this part is very quiet, and then it's gonna start ramping up, and like be super cool. Maybe you need to run now.
Ah, okay. Run. Yeah. Oh shit.
So I'm gonna take a screenshot, but I'm now gonna stop the game because I wanna see what happened. So I'm gonna take a screenshot for later, but then let's see what happened with the dog. So, actually, I'm gonna take a
Fuck
screenshot.
you. Fuck you.
Whoa, look at that. Next time maybe say screw you.
Sorry.
Okay, let's see if you learn it. What do you say now?
Screw you.
But you can be aggressive as when you were saying the other way.
Am I missing something here? Okay. Okay, I see.
Just need to run faster.
I got it now. Screw you.
So smart.
Zero observation skill.
The fact that you're reading this now also highlights that.
That's true.
And now how do you get back to it?
Oh, I see. Okay.
But yeah, I think Limbo is a really good game that teaches you a lot of lessons in terms of how important silhouettes are and how
Did you
important
say Limbo?
sorry, Inside. It's a really good game to learn about how important the silhouettes are, how important the contrast is, and composition, we got them everywhere, right? But yeah, I think this level of details in the silhouette is definitely very, very good.
Hmm. Okay.
What do you have to do? So Marco is asking, do you work in any stylized game? I mean, every game kind of has their own style, but I guess you mean like proper like cartoony style. And to answer that, I started my journey in the game dev as with the mobile games, and mobile games, because of the limitation of the hardware, most of the times we gravitate towards a more stylized look, so that we don't have to have a lot of textures, a lot of like things like that. So that's why it's so common to see so many stylized games in mobile game. And because of that, I was working on a stylized game for mobile.
Maybe you should take a screenshot.
Do you want me to take a screenshot?
Oh, oops. I misclicked.
Misclicked. Do you guys play any mobile games? Because the mobile games currently, right now, are like a much bigger industry than the console and computer games, and that's just because the accessibility that mobile game has. Because especially in countries that are not like widely developed, it's much easier that people have smartphone than a gaming laptop or oh my god, what happened there? Or a computer. So that's why there is like a huge market in the mobile industry. And I think, like, a lot of times as artists, we always say, oh, mobile is bad, it's not nice, I want to work on console. But I think we need to accept that mobiles really give something entertainment for those people that are not as privileged as we are in our lives, that we own computers, we own like technology and things like that. Some people doesn't own that, and the only way that they have to play games is via mobile games. So I think if you see mobile games from that point of view, I think they are good things. And yeah, just
Never thought about it. You're such a wise man, Leo.
oh my god. Again, guys, follow YouTube for smart I was actually talking with a friend the other day, and we were talking about that, and so I think I should credit him for being smart.
Oh, so this one was his idea.
I'm just a
His or her idea.
fraud. Well, yeah, it was a conversation we were having. We're both agreeing.
Hey!
Whoa! Good job.
What the fuck?
Yeah, there is some Did you die?
The
So Marco was just complaining about the fact that we have 2 hours of stream and he spent an hour looking at you dying. And as soon as he said that, you died. I don't remember the controls, but I don't remember it being too hard. So why are you going left now?
Because I saw that red thing here.
Good. Yeah.
And I want it.
Those nice pallets. Floating pallets. Very common thing in Half-Life. Where was it? Yeah. I know the crates were floating, not the pallets.
I remember pallets from Last of Us, maybe. The first one.
Yeah. It's a good
Also,
way.
pallets were a common thing in Limbo.
Yeah. I guess
Yeah.
you use the same mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
If you have more questions, guys, we are reaching the end of the stream. We still have 15 minutes, but yeah. And as
15
always,
minutes
like,
of deaths.
yeah, exactly. As always, even if you didn't have the chance to participate to the live stream, you're still able to send us questions you might have in the comments, and we will do our best to answer them. Nice. I don't know in what sort of space we are. I think for the water that is moving up and down, I feel like we are in those sort of structures that allows water to get like elevated to a higher part of the river or something like that. I don't know how you call them though. Can you go back up? Can you go back a bit?
Yeah, sure.
Look at the light that become more visible once you. Probably something moving outside. Okay, sorry. I thought that was based on the position. So yeah, the light is moving outside, and you can hear the sound. It is like beeping sound, which might suggest that there is something like
There is something?
something outside. Something outside. Okay, if I take a screenshot here while Borto figure out things, I think one really cool thing is to add details. You don't necessarily need to add details. You can still play Borto, by the way.
Yeah, I'm still playing.
Okay. A really nice way to add details is not necessarily just adding meshes on top of mesh and dressing, but it's also with the use of light. As we all know, light makes the environment visible, but at the same time, lights can also add details to the environment. So in this case here, you can see, actually, let me use the blue. I like more blue for the light. In this case here, we got a strong light coming from these windows, and it's nice to see that the atmospheric fog is creating those sort of effects. I forgot the name, but what's really nice about it is the textures that they maybe not don't smash too hard the buttons. But if you can, is the texture that the light is creating on the floor. You can see all those just like windows there, which probably right in this case is just literally the mesh getting, it's like the shadow of the mesh, right? So it's pretty it's pretty like realistic from that point of view. In other chances, a lot of times what we do, there is usually in Unreal, but also in Unity, when you place a light, you have an option to place a projector or sometimes it's called global, something like that, or a mask. I don't know. Depending by the engine, it is called in other ways. And basically, what it does is, imagine you get a torchlight, which is like a nice torchlight, right? And what it does, you are putting a black and white mask on here. So let's use this brown here. Let's use this. So let's say that I'm placing this thing here like that. The mask that I made has this sort of details and has like a tree or something, or has like leaves, something like that. Then the light will not just be just a flat light, but it will project those details. So in the wall projected, you're gonna see then the same details as the shadow. So that's how you can fake, especially if you know for sure that the players will not be able to look at the light source to make sure that there are those shapes that are making the shadows. That's how you can fake the fact that you got more details in the space. So in this case, there's gonna be something like that, and then there's gonna be, because I need to paint it mirrored, so it's gonna be something like, I don't know, something like that, and then goes like that, something, and then it leaves like that, right? And that will add details, and I think that's a really good technique when you have like flat environment, or like you want to add more details with the lights, especially if that light moves or something like that. And yeah, this is a good way. It's also like sometimes it's also a way to make your environment cheaper, because especially with trees or with I guess profiles and another thing, but especially with like trees or like elements that are very noisy in the shadow, for a real-time rendering, creating all those like small details might be expensive, and sometimes the shadows are taking a lot of milliseconds to calculate. So what you can do, you can disable object from casting shadows, and the lights that are in that specific area of your environment, especially if you are like a linear game or like a controlled environment, not an open world, you can say to the light and apply a texture of leaves, and it will look like the tree is casting shadow, but it's not. So it's gonna be easier for the render engine to process the image, because it doesn't have to calculate all the shadows with all the leaves moving with the wind and everything, but you only cast a shadow. A projection with the lights, which has pros and cons, obviously, because reason. The IES, which stands for something that I forgot, it's another thing, circuits, and it's also very, very, very important, because a lot of time when you place a light, actually let's say that this is the light here. The light by default does this, right? And it's very, 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 very 3D. And if you see in your word, the light that we have is never just like a perfect light source, but it's always like around a glass if you're using like a bulb. It's like around a plastic thing if you're using something on next to the bed thing. So I think because of those elements, you never get a perfect light cast on the wall or everything like that. And that's what the IES is basically you are adding a sort of a mask, which usually it's sort of mask that simulates that. So instead of having that very detailed calculation in the light, you just put that on the light and it will simulate that for you, which is basically instead of having this like flat light like that, it's gonna have more like, I don't know, more like a shape like that, and then you're gonna have more like sort of like rings and things, and then in the middle is like where you're gonna have most of the details. So it adds that sense of realism to the light that otherwise you don't have. And I think by default, every light you place, especially apart from the sun, every light you place should have one of those, because that's what happened in real life. There is no chance that maybe there is. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm maybe with a LED you can get that. But with like an exposed LED, because it's like one source of light, you can get that very clean image. But even the LED, I think at the edges of the LED has some levels or some like imperfection in the thing that will create some aberration in the light cast on a surface. So yeah, every light should have like that sort of details, because that's what makes it livable. And yeah, are you done with your puzzle?
Yeah.
Cool, let's go back to the game. I think it's mask on the light itself, so it will be cast based on that mask. Yeah, exactly. And we are so funny how I was like, explaining things so that you went and die, and then
Ooh.
stretch time. I actually don't see the Twitch thing. So I don't see all these like points and things. But yeah, we are towards the end of the stream now, and I think we can end it here. with Borto dying. So.
Okay. Maybe it's better.
Yeah,
you have a
standing desk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm moving left to right, because I'm standing and I'm kind of dancing, and it's very good. If you can get a standing desk, because it's really good. You're not gonna don't think a standing desk you're gonna stand all day, because that's not the case. But it's good to change and sit and stand and sit and stand, because it's good for your body to just switch and
or get a comfy chair and just sit all day.
Yeah, but yeah,
like I do.
I think Inside is a really cool game. If you haven't played it, you should definitely play it. And I
really liked it. This was my first time actually, so I really liked it. If you guys want to suggest any game you like to see next, feel free in the comments if you are watching it off live or right now, because we don't have many ideas for the next episodes.
I mean, we have many ideas, but we want you to be part of this channel.
Obviously we have many ideas.
We want this channel to be not like a one-way direction, but we want to get your inputs as well in the channel, so that it creates a more organic experience for everyone.
So yeah, also we Dishonored, but are you feeling ready for Dishonored, Leo, or do you want to wait a little more?
Yeah, maybe we can start, I guess.
Start?
Okay, go ahead, we'll see.
A multi-episode stream?
Maybe, I don't know, we'll see. We will see. But yeah, guys, again, thanks for everything. If you have more questions, feel free to ask in the comment below, and we will do our best, as always, to answer them. And we will see you next time, which is going to be on Tuesday at the same time, hopefully.
Yeah.
Maybe.
See you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.
See you next time, and thanks for watching, and thanks everyone to be so present in the chat. We really like that. Thanks everyone. Bye bye.